My name's Matthew, this is Alia. We're from Zelig Sound. We produce boutique music and sound design for commercials, TV, and film. We've been going nearly 6 years. We started off briefly in Manchester for a couple of months. Then I got a freelance gig down in London, got fired like a month afterwards. on the day I moved into my house, I got laid off, so I had like crazy amount of rent to pay and no job. So I quickly created a portfolio piece, rang around a bunch of production companies and got asked to pitch on the BAFTA award idents. Frantically pitched on that for like 24 hours and won it, and then me and Al kind of rolled Zelig off the back of that. Al was teaching like part-time for about 9 months while we got started. Then 6 years later, we've just moved into our new studio, our third studio, just off Oxford Street.
So within that time, we've done 512 projects, which roughly is about 85 a year, but we didn't do that many at the beginning, so we've just done a lot more recently. We've done 12 short films, one of which won a Palme d'Or last year. And we've also done 3 feature films, 2 of which we're currently working on, and also 3 docudramas for TV. These are some of the people we've worked with during that time.
Oh. And this is a short video of some of the music we make. And to complement that, this is some of the sound design we do.
System Oracle.
So that's a sound design reel as well. So how does that work? Basically, people will come to us when they want sound design or music composed. And that can be at different stages. Sometimes it'll be a storyboard. Sometimes it'll be the first whip, sometimes it'll be a script. Very rarely do we get the final project. Sometimes we get people coming to us and they're like, oh, we've finished this project, but we've realized it doesn't have any sound or music. We need sound or music. So that's quite rare, but that does happen as well. Also, people will come to us when they're pitching for a job and they want some inspiration for the music. So for example, we'll give them music and sound audio boards. So it's kind of like mood boards, and that helps them with their pitch as well. So it's quite different with regards to how we actually get involved in a job, but generally the earlier we're involved in the project, the better.
I'm going to talk very briefly about my process of starting a project, then Al's going to talk briefly about her process. We could spend hours talking about one specific project, but we've just got one slide. Usually we'll start by going back and forth with music references with the client, and based around the concept of the film or the piece or whatever it is. And they'll send over us an animatic, which is just gray polygons and lines of things that are going to be there eventually. You probably all know what animatics are. But as soon as I start watching the animatic or the early rough edit, I'll usually hear the perfect version of the piece in my head. And then the whole weeks leading up to the finishing, you're just trying to constantly get that version down into the computer, out of your head. But then after watching it a few times, you start to feel the hit points and the overarching structure of the piece. And then I'll be playing things in on the keyboard, arranging them and tweaking them in Logic. We use Logic for loads of the short form stuff we do, and Pro Tools for the more long form, post-heavy pieces. Really, all the time we're trying to replicate human playing, but using the computer to extend that and do beyond what really you can do with live instruments. For example, in this NVIDIA project, there's 13 different drum parts, which to record as an ensemble would just be a massive pain in the ass and cost quite a lot of money. And as soon as the edit changes, all that work would be kind of useless as well. But doing it like this, we can go in and pitch shift things, tweak EQ till our heart's content, basically. And that's a very short picture of the back end of the project with some things. This is Ali's process. Oh no, this is not Ali's process. This is a quick video of, it's not that quick, of the Nike FLYKNIT process, which people tend to like.
So that shows you a bit of how everything was put together with that particular project. My process is quite different, just because, for many reasons, but I'm from a classical background, so I kind of approach things quite differently. So, for example, when I first look at a piece like this, I mean, I tend to walk around daily with music in my head, which is quite annoying and makes me sound a bit insane. But when I've got animation in front of me, it happens even more. So with this particular piece, it sort of starts off and it's quite an intimate scene. And then there's a music box. So obviously, I'm immediately thinking music box. But then this dragon sweeps in. And this is obviously where I would imagine a musical motif of some sort happening. And then it pans out and it's back to not necessarily as intimate as the beginning, but it's still not this big sweeping dragon. So there's a clear beginning, middle, and end there. So the next stage I'd do is I'd set the tempo. So, because the worst thing is when you see a piece and then you start writing music and you're like going off on one and it's like 140 BPM and actually it should be half the speed. And so then you have to resync everything. So I set the tempo and then it's just a case of us sitting down with a piano and I play whilst this is playing. And then that's being recorded and I'll go back and I'll edit it and I'll cut it up. And the melody comes sort of at the very end, and that's much more intuitive. And sometimes it gets a bit too complicated and a bit Mariah Carey, I'm going off on one. So I have to reel it back in and cut it up into little bits so that it's a bit more memorable. So my process is quite different, but I think that's probably why when we collaborate with each other, we work quite well together as well. So alongside Zelig then, what we also do is basically I compose my own music as well. So I've just released a piano album. And the reason I did that was just because I can't, like I said, the music in my head needs to get out and it can't get out with every project. So it's an opportunity for me to just do what I want. And this is what I did with the piano album. And it's ended up being a bit of a musical bibliography about my own experiences and how my emotions and things like that. So each piece has a story attached to it as well, which were inspired by photographs. My friend's a great photographer and he inspired me. So that's a bit about my personal project. You can listen to it on SoundCloud. It's also on Spotify.
Yeah, outside Zelig as well, I make music under the moniker Model 86, and it's kind of like hip-hop, indie-tronica, like bass music. And I've been doing this project about a year, and it's kind of a bit like Alia, wanting to do more than what a brief could give you, like musically, and basically just do what the hell you like, and kind of explore yourself as an artist. And a couple of tracks off this EP, I've been featured on Radio 1 and Radio 6 and a bunch of other places. And yeah, I'm just trying to, with this process of doing Model 86 stuff, trying to just learn something about myself as an artist and kind of just make stuff I just find interesting. And hopefully people will eventually like it. You can find out more at Model 86. And we've been Zelig Sound, and thank you all.